This is why I started to dislike Diwali. If the smog wasn't bad enough, look at the situation of the road just one day after Diwali.
You have not seen fireworks until you have seen Southall on Diwali.
Hindu festivals, littering, and smog. I can't think of a more fitting combination. You know what? Diwali, or the so-called Festival of Lights, isn't so bright when the noise, the smog, and the litter take over the streets. Let's talk about Diwali, and yes, I'll say it. It may be beautiful in theory, but in practice it often leaves a massive mess that people living in the UK, Canada, and other Western countries are really fed up with. Even in India, people are fed up of the mess created. First, a quick origin story. Diwali is a major Hindu celebration known as the Festival of Lights. It marks the victory of light over darkness, good over evil. Traditionally, the return of Lord Rama to his kingdom after exile in the epic Ramayana. Many homes are lit up, fireworks are set off, lamps and candles abound. It's celebrated by Hindus around the world, and yes, it's just one of many Hindu festivals. For example, there's Holi, Navratri, Ganesh Chaturthi, and many more. The idea behind Diwali is joy, community, renewal. But as we're going to see, the reality of how it's celebrated in some places raises some serious problems. Here's where things get messy. On one hand, we've got the happy lights and the community gathering, but on the other hand, massive amounts of noise, firecrackers, littering, and smog. Studies show that during Diwali, particulate matter spikes dramatically. For example, a European journal study titled Festive Pollution, a Global Concern, found that during Diwali in India, PM 2.5 and even PM1 levels soared past WHO standards. They found toxic metals like arsenic and cadmium in the fine particles. Fireworks and firecrackers don't just light up the sky, they literally cloud the air. A detailed article on earth.org explained how celebrations involving fireworks release sulfur dioxide, nitric oxide, and leave microplastics and other residues in soil and water. So it's not just a nice flashing light show, but an ugly trade-off. In places like India, the smog becomes oppressive. For example, after Diwali in Delhi, the air quality index hit over 500. That's 10 times worse than what the World Health Organization considers safe. Now shift that kind of effect to places abroad, where maybe the fireworks traditions are transplanted, or where there's noise and litter late at night, and you start to understand local annoyance. Speaking of late at night, many Westerners, especially in neighborhoods with large Indian or Hindu immigrant communities, feel frustrated. The argument isn't necessarily just about religion or culture, it's about late-night loud celebrations. Fireworks, crowds, streets full of litter, leftover curry on the streets, and loud noise when people need to sleep, or when neighbors aren't used to it. When someone from the street says, "I'm fine with you celebrating, but at 2 in the morning, fireworks and loud groups wandering the streets," come on, you can understand the tension. And because Diwali is just one of many festivals, the calendar looks packed: more parties, more bursts of noise, more expectation of collectivity, and this builds up. In places like the UK and Canada, where immigration has brought large Hindu communities, and where multiculturalism is often celebrated, these festivals sometimes clash with local norms of quiet hours, street maintenance, and public order. In Canada, for example, there is growing anti-immigrant sentiment which observers link to costs of living, housing shortages, and perceptions of cultural overload. When local residents see noise or litter associated with celebrations, even if it's totally unintended, it fuels resentment. Now let's pull this small-town noise problem into the big picture of politics. When locals feel their streets are being disrupted, when they feel their needs are ignored, when they see new festivals, loud neighbors, extra trash, they may feel like they're losing control of their neighborhood, their country, their identity. Gap S. That feeling is, honestly, very easily captured by populist political parties. In the UK, for instance, The Reform UK party has been gaining ground in places where voters say record migration has damaged Britain as a key concern. In Canada, polling suggests 60% of respondents now believe the country did not need new immigrants. And globally, broader immigration policy frameworks are shifting, with many governments becoming more restrictive, or at least signaling they will, around immigration. So yes, that innocent festival of lights with the extra noise and litter plays a tiny role in a much bigger backlash. Now, I will not say festivals shouldn't be celebrated. I'm not saying culture should be suppressed. But something has to give. If you throw fireworks till past midnight, if you fill the night with decibel-busting bangs, if you leave streets covered in debris, litter, and that lingering smell of burnt chemicals, well, people are going to notice. They may complain. They may turn against not your festival, but your community. And because communities get lumped together, hate or resentment can spill onto whole groups. In this case, Indians. Let's dive a bit deeper with some anecdotes. Imagine you live in a quiet residential street in suburban Toronto. It's 11 p.m. You're ready for sleep. Suddenly there's booms outside, little rockets popping. You hear singing, drums, kids running around, trash bags unsorted. It goes on. You might say, I won't stop you, but at least respect the neighborhood. Next day you step outside and the pavement has sparkler casings, candy wrappers, food takeout boxes, day-old curry and samosas spilt all over the street, maybe some firecrackers left undealt with. Someone has to deal with that mess, or someone else looks at it and thinks, that's ours now. Multiply that by dozens of houses, many streets, many nights in festival seasons, and you begin to see the buildup of frustration. From the Hindu side, many families are simply celebrating, connecting with their culture, lighting lamps, hoping for prosperity, doing it the way their parents or grandparents did. They come to Western countries and they bring their traditions. Cool. But perhaps the scale and local norms aren't always adjusted. When those celebrations are loud, very public, prolonged, then the cancellation or friction of other groups starts. Maybe they should integrate more and be more considerate of their host country and their culture. Now here's the twist. The undesirable outcome of all that is not just neighborhood annoyance. It becomes fertile ground for anti-immigrant sentiment. A neighbor complains about noise, another about litter. A local newspaper runs a story, social media lights up, and then suddenly it seems that foreigners equal problems. A loud Diwali or Holi festival in a particular area might become a symbol for change that locals feel powerless over. Political groups pick up on this. They say, look, migration has changed your town. They bring big festivals and loud parties. They don't respect your quiet life. Whether that is fair or not to individuals, the messaging lands. And I can't say I'm shocked. In the United States, we've seen how the rise of Donald Trump's populist rhetoric appealed to voters who felt culturally and economically squeezed. While not always about festivals directly, the theme of we're losing control of our neighborhoods, our customs, our norms is the same. And then in the United Kingdom, you see Reform UK, and huge rallies organized by anti-immigration groups. For example, a Reuters piece recently reported over 100,000 protesters in London taking part in an anti-migrant demonstration. In Canada, rising hostility is being spotted by immigration lawyers who say their clients are facing harsher rejection and more open comments from locals. So yes, loud festivals, litter, smog, neighborhood disruption, they may seem trivial in isolation, but they exist in a larger cultural pressure cooker. Let's pause for a second on the pollution angle again. Even in India, where Diwali has centuries of tradition, the firecracker smoke is really bad. One study from Science Direct described how Diwali night in Kolkata or other cities resulted in very poor air quality, with significant concentration of aerosols, carbon, and trace gases. Another paper found toxic metals in the particles collected around Diwali fireworks. So if the country of origin can't fully regulate the pollution, how much harder is it for it to be self-regulated in diaspora contexts? People bursting fireworks in the streets, neighbors inhaling smog, children suffering from allergens. It's really a recipe for tension. Also, fireworks leave debris, plastic waste, spent casings, so litter is not just paper but chemically loaded waste. Add to that the environmental concern, smog, noise pollution, air quality degradation. These are real measurable problems. And for a person paying rent and dealing with housing costs, the last thing they need is a rooftop sending off fireworks at midnight again and again. When public services struggle to clear litter or regulate noise, it really reinforces the idea that there are two systems at play, one for the long-term residents and another for the festival goers. Now let me be clear, this is not a moral condemnation of Hindu culture or immigrants. Far from it. It's more of an observation of how tradition, adaptation, environment, and politics all collide. Sharing culture can indeed be a positive thing. But when cultural practices create noise, litter, smog, without coordination with local norms, you get friction. Here are a few thoughts to reduce that friction. If you're hosting fireworks at midnight, maybe make sure neighbors are given fair warning. After the party, pick up the trash yourself before the morning jogger steps on a sparkler casing and sprains an ankle. Use greener fireworks or fewer fireworks. Studies show the particulate matter is high from the firecrackers. Consider public venues for the big blast, not random back streets at 2 a.m. when everyone else is sleeping. For community leaders and local councils, schedule and regulate celebrations so they're fun, but don't turn into public nuisances. Because if nothing changes, guess what? Indians and Hindus all around the world will be hated more and more. Perceptions will change and people will see the Indian diaspora as loud, noisy, and inconsiderate. So to wrap up, Diwali is beautiful. It celebrates light. It should uplift. But in practice, in diaspora communities, it can lead to noise, smog, and litter. And that sort of thing often spills over into wider social tensions. The fact that Hindus have many festivals means the cycle is more frequent, which honestly increases the potential for disruption. And when disruption piles up, neighbors feel ignored, public order suffers, resentment builds, and unfortunately, politicians exploit it. If we want multicultural harmony, we need both celebration and consideration. Thanks for watching.